LeBron James is officially no longer a Los Angeles Laker, and who knows? Maybe I'll have to re-record this because we may have some breaking news overnight tonight. But as of right now, it sounds like it is down to the Golden State Warriors, the Miami Heat with Giannis Antetokounmpo, and of course my hometown Cleveland Cavaliers for the services of 142, soon to be 43-year-old on December 30th, LeBron James. On Tuesday's show, I talked about how it was best for not only LeBron, but for the Lakers to move on. They needed to go in the direction of Luka Doncic, build around him with bigs and young wings who can defend. Austin Reeves being his running mate, and then LeBron, if he valued winning, I talked about his best fit, in my opinion, would be Cleveland. Now, obviously, with Golden State, where there's smoke, there's fire. Rich Paul and LeBron obviously share the same clients as the likes of Draymond Green and Anthony Davis. In my opinion, it would be more the Golden State retirement home. Um, I don't know how good they would be in the West. I still don't think they could take down a San Antonio or an OKC. They would 100% be more viable than a Minnesota, a Houston, or a Lakers. But in my opinion, and listen, Toronto just got better. We're going to talk about the Kawhi Leonard acquisition in a minute. But there's a lot of good teams in the East. No team in the East would be as good as a James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, LeBron James, Evan Mobley, and maybe even a Jared Allen. It sounds like the sign and trade would involve Max Strus opposed to Jared Allen now. That starting lineup would definitely get LeBron back to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2020. And the weird thing about LeBron is the Lakers are the most he's ever stayed in one spot, 8 seasons. He was in seven in Cleveland, four in Miami, four back to Cleveland, and now eight in LA. You count that up, that's 23 seasons. And in those 8 years in LA, year two, they get Anthony Davis. They go on to win the NBA championship, of course, within that COVID-19 bubble. Then the next couple of years, they're sort of placated by injury. They eventually move up AD for Luka. The LeBron and Luka connection never really worked out, mostly due to injuries on the Luka Doncic front. LeBron carries the Lakers to the second round of the playoffs this year, beating that Houston team in the first round and showing everybody that maybe not on any given night, but occasionally, when need be, right? In Miami, if Giannis were to struggle one night, or in Golden State, if Curry didn't have it, or AD didn't have it, or in Cleveland, if Mitchell or Harden didn't have it, that LeBron could carry the load. The Miami one, to me, I get it. He would be going back to Miami, Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, but that roster, I know they just signed Tim Hardaway Jr., but basically Giannis Antetokounmpo, his brother Giannis, that'll be coming. Tim Hardaway and Bam Adebayo are pretty much the only players on that team. They're not better than Indiana. They're not better than the Knicks. They're not better than Cleveland. They're not better than Boston. They're not better than Detroit. You can make a case they're not better than Atlanta, maybe even Washington or Philadelphia. Like, I don't see how the Giannis to Miami move makes the Heat a championship contender. I've been saying this. I feel like it's a lateral move. LeBron and Giannis coming together in Miami to me would make no sense. We're in Golden State. LeBron and AD coming to join Steph Curry and Draymond Green, that's still not my favorite option because LeBron would be viewed like he was, sort of in Miami, though that Dwayne Wade team became LeBron's team, similar to what KD did in Golden State. Like that was still always Steph Curry's team. LeBron coming to Cleveland. I know Donovan Mitchell reshaped the culture and all that, but a third stint for LeBron in Cleveland with who knows, maybe some ownership possibilities attached to it by Dan Gilbert, who's already looking to sell, I believe, 5 to 10% minority stake in the team. That would be viewed as LeBron coming home to save his hometown team once again. Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen could not get the job done last year. I thought if the Knicks didn't win the NBA championship, the Knicks would be on the table now that they won it, and that is clearly Jalen Brunson's team. Because if they didn't win it, it would be a similar situation to where Jalen Brunson couldn't get it done and LeBron is there to save them. Now, we know in today's NBA, it's not about free agency. LeBron is the first all pro, all team NBA to enter free agency since Kevin Durant did so and went to Brooklyn in 2019. So this new NBA, it's not about super teams, which is why I don't think the Golden State acquisition would work. It's not about cap space to get free agency and NBA free agency around 4th of July. We all remember, 4th of July 10 years ago. In 48 hours, it'll be 10 years since Kevin Durant joined the Golden State Warriors. LeBron Watch or Decision 4.0 is basically what we used to have in the NBA. And I hope that we get more of it. But I think teams now are starting to figure out that you need to trade for pieces. And you look around in the NBA now. I think it is actually sort of NFL-esque, which is what Adam Silver wanted, which is where you look at all these good teams in the East. I already mentioned Detroit, Boston, Cleveland, New York, Atlanta. I think the Wizards, if they keep AD with Trae Young and AJ DeBonta, are going to be a real team. Philadelphia, if they're healthy with Maxey, Edgecombe, Paul George, and Embiid, they're a real team. Out west, what they're doing with John Morant and Damian Lillard and Portland, and maybe they go after a Jaylen Brown. Like, that's a real team. Golden State, Dallas now with Cooper Flag, reportedly Dusty May, and they want to keep Kyrie Irving. That's a real team. San Antonio, OKC, Houston. We look real hard at like the Nets and the Kings, like even the Jazz, right? They got Darren Peterson, they got Warren Marketing. Sounds like maybe they have Walker Kessler, Keontae George. Like that's a squad you can start and seeing the build around. I think when it comes to Toronto, I'm surprised that Kawhi Leonard wanted to go back to the North. I always thought it was a 1-year rental up there in 2019. He wanted to get back to California. Um, and did so obviously with the Clippers. And if you guys remember, LeBron James and Anthony Davis, because AD at the time had just been traded to the Lakers, they were going to set up a meeting with Kawhi Leonard. And Kawhi texted them saying he was stuck in traffic while at the same time he was meeting with Paul George. Paul George was facilitating a trade out of Oklahoma City, which guess who Oklahoma City got in that trade? Shea Gildress Alexander. It feels like yesterday that earthquake hit in Los Angeles in 2019, and instead of Kawhi, LeBron, and AD joining up to, at that time, when the NBA was a big three league, we were just coming off the Steph, Clay, Draymond, KD Warriors, and Kawhi just winning that title because of KD's torn Achilles. When it felt like it was all about a big three in the NBA, LeBron, AD, and Kawhi could have ran the week. Instead, Kawhi and Paul George go to the Clippers. You have LeBron and AD, and it's the ultimate duo versus duo battle, and it never lived up to the hype. We were supposed to get it in the Western Conference Finals. The NBA shut down due to COVID. The bubble happened. The Clippers blow that 3-1 lead to the Nuggets. And if you remember, by the way, Doc Rivers, head coach of the Clippers at the time, Frank Vogel, head coach of the Lakers at the time, and the Clippers in all those seasons with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George together. And now that Paul George left to go to Philadelphia, Kawhi was still there with various teammates, James Harden, eventually Darius Garland, made one Western Conference Finals in 2021 when they watched the Suns in 6 games. Remember, that was the year Kawhi again had the weird knee injury. He had to miss almost the whole season. Paul George led that team by himself to the Western Conference Finals. And at that moment, in my opinion, the Clippers should have moved off Kawhi Leonard. I thought it was 5 years too late. The Clippers have been an old, aging roster forever. And now poor Darius Garland, who went from potentially competing for championships in Cleveland, he goes to the Clippers with Kawhi Leonard. And now he's got Brandon Ingram and a bunch of young people. I mean, that's going to be a fun young team to watch. Maybe they turn into something out west, a lower seed, though we know the West is deeper than the East. And for the Raptors, to pair Kawhi Leonard, who can be a number one and a robot, and obviously he must have liked the city of Toronto. You got Darko there as a head coach who proved in the playoffs how well he can coach. That team was a 5 seed that went to 7 games. The Cleveland team that a lot of people had expectations for. And so you basically replaced Brandon Ingram, who was not there, by the way, in the final 3 games of that Cleveland Toronto series. I mean, who knows? Remember, he gets hurt early on in game 5. He misses game 6. He misses game 7. Maybe that Raptors team beats the Cavs. You're replacing Brandon Ingram, and you have to give him Grady Dick, who's a pretty good sharpshooter, but he's a role player. And Kawhi and Scotty Barnes, I mean, that's all of a sudden a better duo in Detroit, I would argue, than Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren. If Detroit's even going to want to bring Jalen Duren back, I don't know why you'd give up on a young 22-year-old center that quickly. But, that's a better duo than what they have in Indiana right now because Miles Turner is gone. Who are they going to get to pair with Tyrese Haliburton? If Jaylen Brown is gone out of Boston, depending on what they get, that could be a better duo than what Boston had. So listen, that's a big move for Toronto. They're establishing themselves as a legitimate 3-4 seed in the East. Maybe if the Knicks take a little bit of a step back, a little bit of a championship hangover. Is it old school? Is it LeBron and the Cavs against the Raptors, the 1 and 2 seed? LeBron against Kawhi in the Eastern Conference Finals? Right now, if LeBron doesn't come to the East, you could make a case, if healthy, which is the key with Kawhi Leonard, because we know he's never healthy. The only year he was healthy was that year in Toronto. Could Kawhi Leonard be considered, along with Jalen Brunson, the 2 best players in the East? Which is why I applaud what Toronto did. Because I think when healthy, personally, Kawhi Leonard is a better player than Giannis Antetokounmpo. We can have that debate. Right now, I have Giannis over Kawhi because of the injuries. But again, if you turn injuries off and the impact on games, I think you could make a real case for Kawhi. But, big guys moving in free agency. Giannis gets traded. Kawhi gets traded. LeBron is a free agent. Adam Silver. These are the moves that we want. NBA fans live in love for free agency. We like talking more about the NBA offseason than we do about the NBA regular season. This is why I don't like the second apron. I wish more guys like Kawhi and Giannis were free as opposed to being traded, because I think free agency is more of an adrenaline rush than a trade, personally. But this is the first time in years the NBA has had a big offseason that feels like it's going to live up to the hype. Like that clip from the Brands World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brands World podcast right here on YouTube.